For the next 7 episodes, you may hear references to hosts Tap G and Surfer Clock detonating a nuclear device. The producers of the show would like to remind you that while bomb threats are never funny, this podcast is all in good fun and no actual threat is present. Please refrain from taking the podcast too seriously and enjoy the episode. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Surfer Clock.
And I'm Tap G.
And welcome to What's the Attraction?
Where our work is your vacation.
Everyone has that one,
maybe two,
attractions that they just as soon see abolished, wiped off the face of the earth. And we here at What's the Attraction are no exception. There are some attractions that frankly defy reasonable sense as to why they still exist. But before we start, let's ask ourselves, what makes a bad ride?
Like movies, TV shows, or video games, there are countless factors that go into making a ride. As we've seen in the past episodes, there are so many ways you can devalue an attraction. But as long as they still manage to entertain or satisfy you, they're not bad. Most of these attractions will have some good qualities to them, but not enough to save them.
A weak script, a faulty storyline, cheap special effects, discomfort to the patrons, lack of focus, and so much more can contribute. And if enough of any of these factors come into play, the ride ceases to be entertaining. It becomes a chore, an unpleasant experience that is at best tolerated. But these attractions don't go away so easily since so much effort goes into putting them together, from tailoring the merchandise and training the team members to construction and publicity. As a result, they linger on at least until they can recuperate the budget, however long that may take. So today, we give these attractions their own wall of shame with the top 10 attractions that deserve to be nuked.
And that's why I bought this unused, highly unstable 1959 Soviet Warhead.
Dude! Has that been here the whole time?
Oh, of course not. I've had it in my apartment for the past week, silly.
Okay, for now, let's ignore the fact that you now own a nuclear warhead.
Second Amendment, bro! It's my right to bear arms. Or is it armed bears?
Ignoring that. 1, how did you get this? 2, why? 3, does Homeland Security know about this? And 4, did you buy this on the company account?
Okay, in order, whiny Wilma. 1, Reese knew a guy, and he even threw in a ball-peen hammer for free. 2, to illustrate our point. 3, I called and gave him a heads up. And 4th, I can't access the account anymore since you shut me out after I wired that small loan to the Prince of Nigeria.
$3,000 is not a small loan. 3, never mind. Please, just give me the ball-peen hammer for now. Thank you. Anyways, folks, time to delve into the top 10 worst attractions and why.
And since we only have one of these nukes, we'll save this bad boy for number 1.
Please stop touching it.
Let's get atomic!
Number 10. Triceratops Pin at Disney's Animal Kingdom. When the park opened in 1998, the area dedicated to dinosaurs, Dinoland USA, didn't have much to offer. There was the popular Countdown to Extinction ride, the Boneyard Playground, and a few walking trails. But someone at Disney Imagineering suggested that there needed to be something for the kids, in contrast to the somber scientific aspect of paleontology. What resulted in 2001 was Chester and Hester's DinoRama, a cheesy roadside carnival headed by 2 fictional gas station attendants who found dinosaur bones. It wasn't necessarily a bad idea so much as a bad execution.
Having a child-friendly dinosaur land is great, but not when someone like Disney goes out of its way to make it look as hokey as possible. Is it charming to walk on asphalt that has eroded parking space lines to make it look like it was once a worn-out parking lot? No! It's kind of insulting, like when your uncle gives you a 25-cent toy for your birthday. Oh boy, it's great! Did you get this at the dispenser at the grocery store, Uncle?
I sure did. It's funny because I'm pretending to be cheap. But no, seriously, that's your gift. Happy birthday.
Oh.
Triceratops Spin is essentially Dumbo the Flying Elephant, with Triceratops instead of Dumbos. And there's the problem. Hub and spoke rides have been around for decades, and usually when Disney does something tried and true, they at least cloak it with good theming or a good story. This has neither. It's made to look like a big yellow top with cutesy green dinos flying around it. At least this makes sense with Dumbo, considering, well, he can fly.
And it's just lazy and has no creative energy. And that's only number 10 on the countdown. Number 9. The Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I forgot, Surfer Clock. What did you call it after you exited?
Oh yes, the greatest pre-show I've ever seen.
And?
Nope, that's it. It's a show that is so disappointingly short and insulting in its execution.
We were really interested when we first heard of the Pirates attraction being built at Disney's Hollywood Studios, replacing the old Narnia Prince Caspian exhibit. But when we saw it involved cramming 40 people into a 20 by 20 room to watch Jake and the Neverland Pirates version of the blockbuster film series, we were reasonably upset.
Some of the effects are kind of cool, like the hologram of Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp himself. But come on! Stomp to drown out the mermaid singing? That's just childish. Never mind you're in a stuffy room where there's no place to sit for the show's entirety, even if it is only 10 minutes.
There's so much wasted potential here. Maybe if they had set pieces from the movies, or costumes, or props. But no, it's a half-done show that's too simple for adults, and kids might be a bit creeped out by the intensity of a giant, disembodied talking pirate skull in a dark room.
Number 8. Seuss Trolley Train Ride at Universal's Islands of Adventure. We have no problem with children's rides at theme parks. But wow, were we unimpressed with this one. It's, as its name implies, a Seuss-themed trolley train ride around the roofs of Seuss Landing. It's kind of a more child-friendly version of Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. But considering there's nothing not child-friendly there, this raises questions. Like, why?
The narration is obviously geared toward the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse age group, judging by the tone and request to have you moo like a cow. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you for that.
It does offer some nifty bird's-eye views of Seuss Landing, but in addition to the condescending narration, there's no theming on the rooftops of the buildings. Scratch that, there's a door. Just a door in its frame. That's the home of greedy tycoon Sylvester McMonkey McBean, the salesman from the classic Seuss short story, The Sneetches. I guess they started to theme the ride this way, but quit not halfway through the process.
If a ride isn't going to fully invest in what it wants to do, why should we? That is all, Mr. Brown. Your check is in the mail. Number 7. Poseidon's Fury, also at Universal's Islands of Adventure. Like the legend of Captain Jack Sparrow, the guys who put this attraction together think the best way to entertain people is by placing a crowd of people in a room with standing room only and watching a show. Only here, instead of one room, guests are escorted to multiple rooms. It's supposed to be about a lost archaeologist, something about taking off some Greek deities. I totally forget.
Like Jack Sparrow, there's one main effect that's worth mentioning, a water vortex tunnel, but the rest are either cheesy or lame. Unlike Jack Sparrow, however, this show has a live host, so that can either be a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you get. But even a good host can't save this attraction. Never mind there's no film tie-in. It's a lackluster story, poor effects, crowding, and shuffling from room to room equal a poor attraction experience. I even love how all these unexplored caverns come with convenient handrails.
But wishes do come true! Soon Lost Continent, where Poseidon's Fury is located, will be turned into a Hogwarts Railroad station by 2014, taking Poseidon with it. It was nice knowing you, Neptune.
Poseidon.
Same thing. Seriously, same exact guy.
Number 6. Twister Ride It Out at Universal Studios. Yeah, we gave up Ghostbusters for this?
The classic 1996 movie about tornado chasing mixed with competitive storm chasing and divorce made big bucks at the box office. But a natural disaster doesn't always make for a good ride. Just ask Earthquake, the big one.
First of all, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, the film stars. While in the film they come back together after 90 minutes of storm chasing, in real life, they can't stand each other. In the pre-show, you'll notice the actors are talking to you from 2 different locations. Whether you can sense the tension between the two is open to personal interpretation.
But that's far from the only flaw. The ride's pre-show consists mainly of clips from the film and takes up about half of the whole attraction. The second half is less of a ride than an observation deck to watch a plume of smoke. I assume it's supposed to be a tornado, but even that takes a substantial amount of imagination. Tear up a set. The props and facades are so cheesy and lifeless, it is difficult to get sucked in the show or the tornado. Number 5. Pteranodon Flyers at Universal's Islands of Adventure.
Again, no love lost on kiddie rides if they're done right. But a ride that says you need a child to ride? There's so much wrong with that. In the Jurassic Park section, this ride operates not unlike a ski lift as it slowly hovers high over Camp Jurassic for a pterosaur eye view of the park. But children must be no taller than 52 inches to fly, and their parents, older sibling, etc. are allowed to come along. But 2 theme park critics in their mid-20s without children? Nope.
Just say this out loud. Adults can only ride Pteranodon Flyers if they have a child with them. In our case, we're forced to ask, where are we going to get one? Just pluck one off Carousel?
I'm sure there's laws against that. Number 4. Circle of Life at Epcot's Land Pavilion. What's not to love about Disney's The Lion King? It was a great movie with great songs, great animation, and a great tone. But if you recall from our Ellen's Energy Adventure review, we discussed how usually education through entertainment, more often than not, fails spectacularly. And Circle of Life is certainly that.
Timon and Pumbaa tried building a dam for their new lakeside resort, disrupting the sensitive Serengeti ecosystem. This leads Simba to inform them about how humans damage the planet much more harshly and much more often. Yeah, humans are learning and getting better, but we're tremendously overpopulated, incredibly wasteful, and a strain on natural resources. Is it true? Oh, yeah, but can they find a way to remind us in a more enlightening, less self-righteous way? Honestly, we don't mind seeing our old Lion King friends this way, but not when they're reprimanding us. Besides, I just put my Coke bottle in the recycle bin just before we came in.
But there's also the fact that it's just a movie. No 3D, no special effects, no digital upgrades, nothing. It's simply a grainy image movie housed in the same building as 2 restaurants, a greenhouse, and Soarin'. Feels pretty cheap by comparison, doesn't it?
Number 3. Primeval Whirl at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Also in Chester and Hester's Cheapo-Rama in Dinoland, Primeval Whirl is a roller coaster. A roller coaster with a car that spins. Fun, right? Hell no. Again, it's made to look like a cheesy roller coaster from a roadside carnival, because it is a cheesy roller coaster.
Even going beyond that, the car spins on a track that goes in all sorts of directions. Up, down, left, right, forward, and backward. So you're left banging around in your car, if not at least getting serious whiplash.
Last time I got off that ride, I was bruised. No, seriously, on my arm and on my hip.
Rough rides can be fun if they're not too jerky. This ride seems almost malicious in the way it whips you around like a rag doll. Tacky, un-Disney-like theming, the whole thing feels rushed and uncompromisingly uncomfortable. Number 2. Tomorrowland Speedway. Yeah, we talked about this one in the review of the Speedway, but there's a reason we want to regard this as number 2.
To recap, no good theming, no music, nauseous fumes, no story, no characters, loud noise, and jerky cars. For a more detailed discussion about what we did and didn't like about the Tomorrowland Speedway, check out our appropriately titled episode.
And hear what happened to Tap G when he drove the car off the rail.
I thought you were going to take that down.
Yeah, right.
Ugh. And the number 1 attraction that deserves to be nuked is Stitch's Great Escape at the Magic Kingdom. Ugh! Like we need to go into much detail.
Again, we covered this in an earlier episode, but for those who don't remember or haven't seen it yet, let's go over this horrendous waste of space again. It's a show that violates your personal space with an uncomfortable shoulder harness, nauseous chili dog breath in your face, hair mussing, and Stitch spitting on you.
All in the dark, too! And a storyline that ends with, oh well, prisoner escaped. You guys are terrible prison guards. Exit through the gift shop. It's just awful. Almost sadistic. It stands as our least favorite attraction at Walt Disney World and the worst attraction on What's the Attraction? The number 1 attraction that deserves to be nuked!
Did you seriously just set the timer on the Warhead to nuke Stitch's Great Escape?
Oh yeah.
When's it gonna go off?
In exactly 1,008 hours.
Let's see, that's 24 divided by 7. That's 6 weeks from now. Why in 6 weeks? That's awfully specific.
I don't know, just sounded like a nice round number.
It's not even close to a round number.
T minus 1,007 hours, 59 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting.
Well, thanks for listening to What's the Attraction, folks. I'm Surfer Clock.
And I like things that blow up.
And this was What's the Attraction?
Where our work is your vacation.
Meanwhile, somewhere in space.
And this was What's the Attraction? Where our work is your vacation.
Great Escape made number 1? Ooh, he's not gonna like that.
I worked so hard on it too.
We need to teach these guys a little respect. I'll bring them a top hit from 1980.
Whoa, Would you stop saying that?
Start up the Star Speeder, man. We're gonna turn what's the attraction into what's the abduction. But first, got a pen?